Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the fantasy football hidden gems of Week 4. I'm going to be going over 6 unlikely people that you should be able to start this week and not really have to worry about because they have considerably good matchups and they're looking to be better as the weeks progress. I like these people as hidden gems to complete my fantasy football gauntlet for this coming week. Week 4 of the regular season. So let's get right into it, shall we? Hey, everybody, how's it going? I have not, crowned myself with the Infinity Gauntlet / Fantasy Gauntlet yet, but after I mention everybody, I will fully acquire my gauntlet and rain terror on my fantasy opponents. Anyway, let's get past all that. Number 1, I got the Space Stone being Eli Manning. Again, the Space Stone continues to be quarterbacks. That is going to be a normal thing. Do not mind it. Okay, Eli Manning this coming week playing against the Drew Brees and New Orleans Saints. Ooh, it's going to be a shootout. It has to be. Okay, worst case scenario, Eli scores 20 points. Okay, and that's a good thing, right? Because Eli Manning has an ample opportunity. Yes, Evan Ingram is out. He's going to be hurt, blah, blah, blah. No big deal, right? But I think Eli Manning with Odell, Shepard, and a decently good offensive line, Saquon Barkley catching the ball out of the backfield, he has a pretty good opportunity this week. I know many people, even this picture, it doesn't service Eli Manning well. Maybe I should have had him with both of his rings and both of his MVP titles from his Super Bowls. Maybe I should have had that. But Eli Manning thus far this season has not been great. Week 1, 0 touchdown passes. Week 2, only had 1. This past week against the Texans, the Houston Texans, he was able to have a pretty decent fantasy week, scored 2 passing touchdowns. I think as week 4 comes along, Eli Manning is going to have a really good opportunity because this Saints defense has not looked good at all. I had Eli ranked pretty high. It was the first time I ranked him high within the quarterback rankings. I think he was in the range of 15. I like Eli Manning as a guy that maybe you're struggling to find. You weren't able to pick up someone off the waivers. Cam Newton, is on bye week. Maybe Alex Smith's on bye week. Perhaps Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. You missed out on picking up Tannehill and Dalton. Eli Manning is not a bad option this coming week. I like him as a quarterback to start for only week 4, right? Just because of the matchup. He has a really good opportunity, and the pieces that surround him make him that much better. That's why Eli Manning is being considered anything. Otherwise, this guy should have retired by now. Odell Beckham, Sterling Shepard, Saquon Barkley, they're making this offense. Eli Manning just has to deliver the ball, and I think he's capable of doing so. He's one of my hidden gems. He's the Space Stone this week. All right, let's move to the next guy I want to talk about, Ted Ginn Jr. Man, what is Ted Ginn on right now? He is literally playing out of his absolute mind. Now, I understand. He's getting a lot of opportunity, and he's acting upon it, plain and simple. For the last 3 weeks, okay, he's had 6 targets, 7 targets, and 6 targets. Now, this last week wasn't great, okay? He didn't have many yards, only had 12 yards, right, but had his touchdown. That means that there is still an opportunity for Ted Ginn to continue to be relevant. I think this week, and another guy from this matchup, the Giants versus the Saints, I think it's going to pop off. I like Ted Ginn as a very, very, very quiet sleeper. Maybe at the end of your bench, you're struggling to find someone. I like Ted Ginn. I don't think he's a bad start this week, considering the matchup. I understand that Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara eat up all of the targets, and Cameron Meredith is starting to be used a little bit more. But I think Ted Ginn is still relevant. He can still find himself some fantasy points and some fantasy value. I like him going into week 4 of the fantasy season as my power stone. And the power stone has been receivers so far. So maybe watch out for that. Brandon Marshall, Ted Ginn. Anyway, I wouldn't say number 3, but the reality stone. Here's the reality of the situation. I think Tariq Cohen has to be used way more within this offense, right? He proved it last season throughout his rookie year that he doesn't need 20 touches in order to be fantasy relevant. He just needs his 8 to 10, right? Because he's so dynamic and he can play with such explosiveness to find himself some fantasy value. Tariq Cohen literally only needs 8 touches, whether it be handoffs out of the backfield, screen passes here or there, designed plays to get him open. I think Tariq Cohen is as dynamic as they get in the NFL. He's fucking fast, people. He's so damn fast, but he's never used within this offense. Matt Nagy somehow thought, okay, he's irrelevant, throw him on the shelf. I think if Tariq Cohen can eventually get a little bit more touches with Anthony Miller going down, maybe this gives a little bit of opportunity. They got to use Tariq Cohen like the Chargers used Austin Eckler. I think Tariq Cohen can be that kind of a guy where he can week to week be fantasy relevant, right? But maybe it's Mitchell Trubisky. Maybe he's the issue. But either way, I like Tariq Cohen as a hidden gem this coming week. I think, without a doubt, he's improved throughout the season, right? Last season, it was something else, right? He actually was just losing his mind and playing like an absolute monster. This past week, had 5 rushing attempts for 50 yards, and he had 3 receptions for 15. That's great. He had 8 touches. Wow. Okay, great. And he had a decent fantasy week. In PPR standards, what is that? That's 8 points. It's almost 10 points. It's like 9.7 points. That's fantastic. That's what you want. That's a baseline low. That's it. Maybe he gets, he breaks out that play that you expect him to do so. Boom, 15 points. The way I see it, I think he's very explosive. I think he just needs the opportunity. He needs literally 8 to 10 touches a game. He's like Alvin Kamara from last year, right? Just give him the ball a couple times here and there. He'll make a play. I like him as my reality stone this week. Moving on to the Soul Stone. All right, people, here it is. Last week's Soul Stone wasn't great. Week 1, was it week 2? Week 2, fantastic, right? But this week, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that Larry Fitzgerald, rest in peace. Your career is over. Here comes the Christian Kirk, Josh Rosen era. Now, why am I thinking this? Well, I think that Christian Kirk, just off of the fact that he is a rookie and Josh Rosen, a rookie, they got an instant connection, right? They have some sort of relatability. This past offseason, they've practiced together a lot because majority of the time, Christian Kirk was not on the first team, right? I think Chad Williams beat him out as the number 2 wide receiver early. That was a mistake by the team, the organization, and the head coach. A lot of mistakes, but all things considered, I think Christian Kirk going forward is going to be a good option. This past week, he had a pretty decent game. 7 receptions, 90 yards. That shows that he can actually produce, right, on 8 targets. Okay, hopefully with Larry Fitzgerald being a little injured, they're playing against a defense that is not great. The Seattle Seahawks defense is not something to be afraid of anymore. Without the Legion of Boom, you don't have to worry, right? Earl Thomas is sitting back there by himself, hoping he was on the Dallas Cowboys. But the fact of the matter is he's not. And I think Christian Kirk can have a decently good week this week. He is a hidden gem. He's a guy that's sitting on many of your waivers. I would suggest picking him up. He is my soul stone for week 4 of the regular season. I like Christian Kirk, and I like him a lot. I'm telling you, with the quarterback change, that's all you needed. Tyrod got, his head axed. Sam Bradford got his head axed in the 3rd quarter. Or was it in the 4th? I think it was like 5 minutes remaining. What a terrible call for the coach. Whew, just let him go out there and lose the game. Like, what's the point? Throwing out a rookie against Khalil Mack, that's so dangerous. And I think he threw 2 picks. So there it is. Either way, I like Christian Kirk this week. Moving on to the time stone. Geronimo Allison. It's time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for Geronimo Allison to take that next step to become the number 2 wide receiver within this offense. Goodbye, Randall Cobb. It's time. It is literally time. Geronimo Allison has had a very sneaky, quiet year this year, yet has been very fantasy relevant in specific weeks. Okay, week 1, 5 receptions for 70 yards and a touchdown. Week 2, 6 receptions for 64 receiving yards. That's great in PPR, right? This past week, okay, wasn't able to do much, but guess what? He still had 2 receptions, had a 76-yard bomb, and a touchdown. He has been sneaky good. In PPR sense, fantastic. Even in standard, he scored 2 touchdowns in 3 weeks. I think if Aaron Rodgers continues to find this guy, which I think he's going to be able to do this week against the Buffalo Bills defense, I think Geronimo Allison can be a very, very good start at the flex position. I'm not going crazy and saying you have to start him. I'm just saying If he's sitting on your bench, maybe even on the waivers, give him a shot, drop one of those bums that are hurt, and have yourself a pretty decent week with Geronimo Allison. I like him this week. I like any receiver that, listen, I've said it in the past, if you're associated with Patty Mahomes, you're golden, right? If you're associated with good old Aaron Rodgers, I don't care if he's limping around or not, you're going to do decently, right? Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And if you can find Geronimo Allison, it's time. Randall Cobb, hit the door. You're gone. Maybe bring in Jordy again. I don't know. But Geronimo Allison, he's going to step up, be that number 2 receiver this coming week. Okay. The last guy I wanted to talk about, the last guy I wanted to mention before I put on the Fantasy Gauntlet, which I'm going to do right now. Oh, yes. Look at this. Oh, my goodness. Fantasy Gauntlet has been acquired and has been graced upon me. So, what do I think about Geoff Swaim? Woo, baby. The Mind Stone, okay? Now, listen. The past 2 Mind Stones have been absolute garbage. I understand. I'm not telling you that these guys are going to be fantastic players, right? These guys are hidden gems that have the potential to be good, all right? Week 2, Jonnu Smith, garbage can, hasn't done anything. Now, Charles Clay should have had a week last week, all right? The Buffalo Bills actually did something. Yet, some other guy named Kroom caught a touchdown at the tight end position. BS. I'm telling you right now. Charles Clay should have had something last week. He should have had at least 6 fantasy points. At least, right? But all things considered, we're talking about Geoff Swaim right now of the Dallas Cowboys. A guy who did not play in week 2, played in week 1. This past offseason, there was talks who's going to replace Jason Witten, the tight end Hall of Famer Jason Witten. And to be honest, thus far, it was nobody. They had yet to even move the offense, much less find a tight end to even, suit or even somewhat take over what Jason Witten was able to produce. The way I see it this past week, Geoff Swaim had 7 receptions, 7 targets, 5 receptions for 47 yards. Now, what does that mean in my opinion? I think as the weeks progress, Blake Jarwin hasn't been able to do anything. He was a little bit of a name that kept popping up as the preseason, got going and as, training camp was firing up. They thought, Blake Jarwin's going to replace him. No. Geoff Swaim has been with the team for the last 4 seasons. I think if Dak Prescott can pull his head out of where, out of Travis Frederick's, Geoff Swaim can be a decent tight end. I think there's got to be someone to catch the ball within this offense, right? They're an NFL team. They play 4 15-minute quarters. I don't care what you do. You have to throw the ball. Maybe it's the tight end they need. Geoff Swaim this week and going forward, he's a hidden gem in a deeper league. Deep league. Like you have 8 to 10 bench spots and you're struggling at tight end, consider Geoff Swaim. I like him this week, all things considered. Now, if, for example, Geoff Swaim has a terrible week, it's fine. I'm not saying you have to start these people. I'm just saying they're hidden enough to where I'm sure they're, steadily available for many of you. And if you're feeling spicy, you're feeling maybe DFS pick here and there, go for it. All right. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I talked about Eli Manning having a very good matchup this coming week. I talked about Ted Ginn Jr. Also, same matchup. I know he's old, but he gets his opportunities here and there. I also talked about Tariq Cohen. 8 to 10 touches, people. 8 to 10 touches. It's all he needs. It's literally all he needs. Christian Kirk, I sacrificed good old Larry Fitzgerald in order to get this soul stone on my hand. Then I talked about Geronimo Allison. I think of anybody that I've talked about, Geronimo Allison, I'm most excited for this week. I really think he's going to have a great week. And lastly, as you can see on the screen, Geoff Swaim. Going to have a decent week, all things considered. If Dak Prescott can just throw the damn ball. I understand your offensive line is not as good as it was last year. You're missing Travis Frederick. The left guard is a rookie that's been struggling for the last couple of weeks. But I think Geoff Swaim can be that sort of replacement at the tight end position. Not to fill the shoes, but at least just be a target to help out the offense and to move the ball so that Ezekiel Elliott can find the end zone. Anyway, everybody, thank you for watching. Here's the fantasy mitten. It's honestly, it's the greatest gauntlet of all time. But either way, thank you for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys. All right, now I just got to click the button. Oh.